Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, where we discuss all of the top news in the world of soccer, including the top games, competitions from all around the world, and the coldest, or I should say hottest, winter transfers. Obviously cold because, well, it's cold. It's winter time. We're snowing parts of the world. We're cold over in Europe. And here in Sacramento, I'm even cold, and it's only in like the 50s. So anyways, guys, welcome in. Happy New Year. Hope you had a great holiday weekend as well. Happy New Year. 2017 is upon us. A great, great year ahead of us. I'm currently watching West Ham United against Manchester United, and Feghouli has just been sent off for the Hammers in the 15th minute. It is still 0-0, but obviously playing Manchester United, who have won 5 games in the league in a row, playing without Feghouli, playing with 10 men. Definitely not a good situation for West Ham, who have been struggling but played pretty good as of lately, won 2 out of their last 3. Anyways, guys, on the show, we will be talking a lot about the Premier League. Premier League has been really rampant within the past week. Boxing Day last Monday, and now games even today. We had games yesterday, Saturday, Friday. I mean, there's games all crazy. So we have to update you within the past week in the Premier League, because every other league's kind of on a break. We do have the return of La Liga and Serie A this weekend, so we'll preview those as well as other games at the end of the show. But first, we'll talk about the Premier League, just kind of some live updates. We had games as early as today. So Middlesbrough and Leicester get a 0-0 draw. Leicester continuing to play bad. Riyad Mahrez kind of struggling, the reigning PFA Player of the Year. Sunderland get 2 penalty goals from Jermaine Defoe to equal Liverpool 2-2. A bad result there for the Reds, trying to keep pace with Chelsea. They dropped 2 points against Sunderland, who have been pretty bad this year. And Manchester City, with 10 men, defeat Burnley 2-1. Fernandinho gets sent off, his 3rd red card within his past 6 matches. So he's kind of probably be facing some suspensions coming up. Liverpool's rival, Everton, they get a 3-0 victory over Southampton, 3 goals within the second half. West Brom continue to play good this year, a 3-1 victory over Hull City. Like I said, West Ham and Manchester United are in the 18th minute. It is still 0-0. Tomorrow, Arsenal will be battling Bournemouth. Watford will play Stoke City. Crystal Palace will play struggling Swansea. And then Wednesday is the big day, Tottenham and Chelsea. We'll preview some of these games at the end of the show. So we'll talk about this past week within the world of soccer. Obviously, on Boxing Day, we had a huge slate of games. We talked about them last week, but some of the games we did not get to because they were the next couple of days. Liverpool with a 4-1 victory over Stoke. Tottenham with a convincing 4-1 victory over Southampton. Dele Alli with a brace in that game, as well as his next game, which was yesterday on New Year's. Tottenham, another 4-1 victory, this time over Watford. Dele Alli with 2 goals and Harry Kane with 2 goals. Harry Kane, 100 Premier League games, 59 goals. Ties him with the Arsenal legend Thierry Henry with goals within 100 games at 59 for your club. So pretty impressive there for Kane, although he is a Spurs and I am obviously an Arsenal fan. I got to give him some credit. He's a heck of a player and definitely a good striker. So some of the other games on Friday, Hull City and Everton played to a 2-2 draw. An absolutely sublime free kick by Robert Snodgrass put the host, the Tigers, up 2-1, but then Everton equalized from Ross Barkley header. Burnley pick up a 4-1 victory over Sunderland. Andre Gray scores the first ever hat trick within the Premier League for Burnley. Manchester United beat Middlesbrough 2-1. They get goals in the 85th minute from Anthony Martial and the 86th minute from Paul Pogba to erase a 1-goal deficit to get a 2-1 win there. They've won 5 in a row now. They're playing really, really good within the league. Bournemouth pick up a huge 3-0 victory over Swansea. First game without Bob Bradley since he was fired. Only in charge of Swansea for 85 days. Just did not perform with them. Only 2 wins through 11 games. Had the worst goal differential. No real surprise there. Swansea are definitely, in my eyes, getting relegated. They're just not a good team. Chelsea continued to impress. A 4-2 victory over Stoke. It wasn't easy. Stoke did put up 2 goals, but they win their 13th game in a row within the league to stay atop the Premier League. West Ham lose to Leicester 1-0. West Ham had won their 2 previous games, but then Islam Slimani scores for Leicester to get the victory over the Hammers. West Brom with a 2-1 victory over Southampton, so West Brom continue to play well under Tony Pulis. And then the big match of this past weekend was Liverpool against Manchester City. Liverpool get only a 1-0 victory, a goal in the 8th minute from Jorginho Wijnaldum across from Anna Lallana. He crossed into the box. Wijnaldum headed it home in the 8th minute. I'm kind of surprised this was only a 1-0 victory for Liverpool. Only 1 goal in the game, especially for 2 teams with really, really struggling defenses, back lines that are kind of shaky. 2 really good offensive teams, Liverpool and City. I'm surprised there was not more goals there, but a good win for Liverpool. Manchester City at Anfield, just not a good team, cannot win there, and they continue to not be able to win there, losing and dropping the 3 points to Liverpool. I mentioned Tottenham with the 4-1 victory over Watford. To continue, they move up to 3rd. Well, not as it stands because games are going on now, but going into this morning, they had moved up to 3rd. And then the last game within Matchday 19 was Arsenal with a 2-0 victory over Crystal Palace. It's only January 2nd, and we might have seen the goal of the year already. And it comes from Arsenal striker Olivier Giroud, channeling his inner Henrik Mkhitaryan from Boxing Day, but this time he was actually onside, was the Frenchman. A scorpion kick within the box. Alexis Sanchez crossed it in, obviously behind him. Giroud does all he can to just even get a flick on it with the back heel. Scorpion kick over his head, over Wayne Hennessy, off the top of the crossbar and into the goal. Like I said, it's only January 2nd, but we might have already seen the goal of the year. Definitely the goal of the season from a guy in Olivier Giroud, who is definitely one of the, I'm going to say, the most basic players, most unflashy players. If I would have said someone's going to score a scorpion kick, I'd have thought Giroud would definitely be one of the weakest options to do so. But Olivier Giroud, goal of the season, if you have not seen it, which I'm sure you probably have, absolutely sublime finish with the scorpion overhead. So fantastic there. And then today, we had some games this morning. We have some games Tuesday and then Wednesday, as I mentioned. So today, Middlesbrough and Leicester with the 0-0 again. Liverpool 2-2 against Sunderland. Everton 3-0 against Southampton. City with 10 men beat Burnley 2-1. West Brom with a 3-1 over Hull City. United and West Ham are tied 0-0 still in the 22nd minute. So when you look at the Premier League table right now, you have Chelsea still atop by 5 points now with a game in hand since Liverpool did draw against Sunderland. So Chelsea on Wednesday will battle Tottenham with a chance to make it 8 points clear at the top. Manchester City, that is, are currently 3rd with the game in hand over Arsenal, Tottenham, and Manchester United with 42 points. Arsenal 4th with 40 points. Tottenham 5th with 39 points. Manchester United 6th with 36 points. And then there's a big drop-off from there. Everton with 30 at 7. West Bromwich Albion, a great season under Tony Pulis. 29 points through 20 games. They are 8th. Bournemouth 9th with a game in hand, so they have a chance to grab 27 points if they are able to beat Arsenal tomorrow. They will still be in 9th, but definitely a good season. Their goal is to obviously stay within the Premier League as they did last year. And then Southampton with 10. They are at 24 points. Burnley 11, 23 points. So it gets kind of competitive there, but definitely after the top 6, there's a huge drop-off, 6 points there. Going to go up to maybe 9 if Manchester United and Tottenham do win. So I mean, the top 6 looks pretty intact in the Premier League, but apart from that, I mean, I really don't know where this league is going Chelsea seem like they're running away through it, but we are only halfway through the season, so who knows what could happen from here on out. They could have a demise. Liverpool are playing fantastic, but they did drop points today against Sunderland. Manchester City seem like a good team under Pep Guardiola, but to me, they look like they're still a team that's a year away. Too much struggles within the back four in my eyes. John Stones has not really turned out to be the center back that Pep Guardiola had intended when he bought him this summer. The fullbacks, with whether it be Zabaleta, Kolarov, Gael Clichy, Bakary Sagna, I mean, he can't really get some steady fullback play, some consistent fullback play within the back four. So for me, I think City are definitely a year away under Guardiola. He will turn them around. I think he'll have them winning the title within the next couple of years. I really do. He's that good of a manager, but I think it's going to take some time. This year is not the year. Arsenal, they're still kind of far back. The question is, can they withstand it? And Tottenham, to me, they're playing really as good as anybody, really as good as Chelsea. They're playing fantastic, getting some good, solid goals. They're getting healthy at the right time as well. Their defense has definitely been their strong point, but they've had injuries all year long. Toby Alderweireld's been out. Moussa Dembele's been out, but now they're getting a lot healthier at the right time. And then Manchester United playing fantastic. 4 wins in a row in the league, 5 overall. Have a chance to beat West Ham today. 25th minute, still 0-0, but West Ham do have a man down, so you have to imagine that United are going to be in a good position to pick up a victory here. To me, I think they can definitely be that team to kind of play spoiler. I don't really see them challenging for the title. They're too far back. The top 4 is still in sort of reach. I mean, they're only 4 points out of it right now. So to me, they can maybe be the spoiler, maybe have some of these teams at the top of the table drop points when they play them. But interesting to find out. Anyways, guys, we'll take our first break at the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast. After the break, it is January, so we'll be talking briefly about transfers. One person from Aston Villa is making his way back into the Premier League for Middlesbrough, so we'll talk about that really briefly. But for me, I'm going to talk about something I'm calling the China problem. And that's the Chinese Super League continuing yet again. 2016 was really the breakout year, and now they're doing it even more. The big one is Carlos Tevez, and then they even have some more as of today. I'll report another transfer going to China. But anyways, they're just continuing to steal players away because their pocketbook is so deep in China. I'm going to talk about what I'm calling the China problem and how it's not good for football. Talk about that right after the break at the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Middlesbrough have yet another striker option to back up Alvaro Negredo. They have just bought Aston Villa and French center forward Rudy Gestede for only a small fee, a £6 million fee. Gestede has appeared in 19 games this year for Aston Villa, only scoring 4 goals. No real surprise that Aston Villa is trying to ship out some players. They're currently 12th in the Division 2 England, the EFL Championship. Obviously, the top 2 go up for sure, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 play off in like a certain little playoff thing to determine who will be that third team. They're currently 12th right now, 35 points through 25 games. They're 19 points off the top of who is Brighton and Hove Albion, so doesn't really look that good that Aston Villa, who were in the Premier League last year, does not look like they will be going up anytime soon. So to ship out some players, bring some more money into the club is probably a good idea. So Rudy Gestede is on his way out. Another transfer is a certain midfielder who's part of, in my eyes, the China problem. and that is Belgian midfielder and Zenit midfielder Axel Witsel. He has decided to move to the Chinese Super League and reject a move from, picture this, Juventus. He has decided to not join Juventus. He almost joined them in the summertime. He was also linked to some teams in the Premier League like Everton, but he has decided to join Chinese Super League club Tianjin Quanjian, obviously from Zenit, which is in the Russian league. He's 27 years old. He's a pretty good midfielder. He plays for the Belgian national team, pretty regular there, kind of a good box-to-box midfielder, a really good player. He said it was a very difficult decision because on one hand there was a huge top club in Juventus, but on the other hand there was an irresistible offer for the future of my family. So reports are that Witsel is going to be earning about 18 million euros a year annually, which is a pretty big salary. He's a decent player, but I mean, he's definitely falling into the Chinese Super League. And another person who has done that is the Argentinian striker, formerly of Boca Juniors, before that Juventus, Carlos Tevez. He is obviously joining the Chinese Super League from Shanghai Shenhua for a record fee. He's going to be earning about $41 million a year just to play for this team. So when you break some of it down, he's going to be earning $80 a minute, $4,800 an hour, $115,000 a day, and $808,000 a week. Carlos Tevez is now the highest paid player ever at 32 years old. He's still a great player. He was absolutely tearing it up in the Argentinian league for Boca Juniors, his hometown club, after transferring there last year from Juventus, a little bit of this year as well. Now he has decided to be yet another player to join the Chinese Super League. Tevez, at his time with Boca Juniors, scored 25 goals in 56 games. He's still a very, very good player, but he is saying goodbye and joining China. We've seen this really all year now, last year and this year. Think about some of the names. We've seen Ramirez go there from Chelsea. We've seen Hulk go there from Zenit as well. Now you have Axel Witsel. So Zenit are racking up the money between Hulk and now Axel Witsel going over to China. Oscar just went there from Chelsea for £60 million. So Chelsea inherited a ton of money for a guy who really wasn't even playing for them this year. Alex Teixeira went there. He was part of the Ukrainian league, rumored to maybe go to Liverpool. He goes to China instead. I mentioned Oscar went there. I mean, Gervinho went over there. There's a ton of players who have opted to join the Chinese Super League. Reports are last week that a club in the Chinese Super League were offering Cristiano Ronaldo $300 million a year to go over there to play in the Chinese Super League. And he obviously did not do it. His agent came out and said that. He's still part of Real Madrid, thank goodness. To me, the Chinese Super League is definitely ruining football. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. It makes total sense. This is China. They have a ton of money. Literally a ton of money. More money than any other nation in the entire world. They're trying to build soccer, obviously the most popular sport in the world. So it makes a ton of sense. Everything makes sense in this aspect. They're trying to basically lure players more money who maybe could play at better clubs, obviously. They're coming from better clubs to China, where there's a handful of players that are outside of the nationality of China that are kind of standalone players, but are really just kind of ruining their football career in my eyes. Because in the Chinese Super League, as it currently stands, there is no global viewership. You can't go and watch these games in the Chinese Super League unless you are literally in China. You can't, you know what I mean? I'm watching the Premier League right now in the United States, which is in England. You can watch the Bundesliga here, La Liga, Serie A. You can watch these things on a lot of different networks. but you can't watch the Chinese Super League globally. So these guys are going to China and are kind of being forgotten about because no one can watch them. You might be able to see highlights on YouTube, but other than that, you literally cannot see what they're doing. So they're going there and ruining their football career in my eyes because you can't see what's going on with them. Leaving super, super popular clubs where they're getting a lot of sort of publicity, all chasing a fat paycheck, and I get it. Like you saw what Axel Witsel just said. He's thinking about his future for his family, and I get that. But to me, they're ruining soccer because they're just luring every single player. And this is not going to end. This is only going to get worse. People that are maybe on the downward spiral of their career, there's teams that are offering Wayne Rooney $400,000 a week. Tevez is at $800,000 a week right now. So this is not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse in my eyes until something happens. One of two things is going to happen. Number one, people are going to stop going to China, that these big name players are going to stop going to China. Or two, the Chinese Super League is going to end up buying a ton of players and kind of developing into a really good league. And then from that point on out, they're going to have to start putting more viewership up. Manchester United almost just scored a beautiful save, though, by Lee Randolph on really the goal line. It was almost pushed in by Antonio Valencia, but the game is still 0-0, 38th minute. It seems like it's almost a matter of time before Manchester United score. But anyways, to me, the China is definitely ruining the league. They signed Tevez. They just went with Witsel, Oscar. I mean, this is not going to end. And to me, it's really unfortunate because you're having some of these top clubs, these top teams really miss out on some players because they're chasing that fat paycheck. And I think it's only going to keep getting worse, and it's only going to keep getting even higher transfers. Like Carlos Tevez right now is the highest paid player. I guarantee by next year, we're going to have a new highest paid player. We have the January window right now. Not too much action really goes on during that. But the summer transfer window is always even more active because it's the offseason for every single team in soccer. So, I mean, it's only going to get worse. And I think it's just gonna get even worse in China. I really do think more and more people are going to go over there because the money's there. I mean, the temptation is literally, as Axel Witsel said, irresistible. And I get it. I just hate that it's happening because you're just taking a ton of players away from the game and kind of putting them in a black hole to never get seen again. Like, are we going to see Oscar a part of the Brazilian national team again? Are we going to see Hulk a part of the Brazilian national team again? I really don't know because guys really can't see what these guys are doing over in China. There's no global viewership there. It's really just hurting their professional careers, our sort of consuming careers to watch them, all because of the paycheck. And it's just really unfortunate. The level of competition is not nearly as good as every other league over there, so they might be tearing it up over there against really just poor talent. It's just not a good thing to me. But, I mean, it is what it is. Money does stir everything. They say that money can't buy you happiness. Well, I mean, for Carlos Tevez and some of these other guys, I guarantee it does, because they wouldn't be doing all that if it was not making them happy. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll take our last break of the show, guys. We will look ahead to this upcoming week in soccer. We have the return of La Liga as well as Serie A, thank goodness. The Bundesliga are still on a break, and then Ligue 1 will be on break until next week, so we'll have to talk about them next week. But anyways, we have La Liga this week, Serie A, the Premier League a little bit midweek, as I mentioned, and then they were on a FA Cup third round, so we'll just mention some of the top teams who are playing. Still a lot of not marquee matchups. It's only the third round of the FA Cup, so there's still a ton of teams alive. But anyways, we'll take our last break of the show. After that, we'll be doing some previews.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Wednesday is the big matchup day in the Premier League this week. Tottenham will be hosting Chelsea in a London derby. Chelsea on an absolute tear right now, 13 wins within the league in a row. The record is 14, which Arsenal have done twice, one of them being the Invincibles year in 2002. Can Chelsea make it 14 in a row at White Hart Lane against the Spurs? Honestly, I think this is going to be their toughest matchup within those 13 wins in a row. They have already beaten Tottenham. One of those 13 wins in a row was at Stamford Bridge, a 2-1 victory for Tottenham. I'm sorry, not for Tottenham, but for Chelsea. So can they beat Tottenham yet again, is what I was going to say. For me, I think this is going to be their toughest matchup. Tottenham are playing absolutely fantastic right now. They're getting healthy at the right time. And they're at home. I mean, that's really, really important. A London derby, of course, the fans, the atmosphere is going to get up for it, as well as Tottenham, the players themselves. I think this is going to be definitely their toughest matchup. As I said, they gave up a couple of goals against Stoke on Saturday. Tottenham are definitely a much better team than they are. I'm going to say this is going to be maybe a 1-1, a 2-2 draw. I think Chelsea are just flying so high, it's tough to say that I think they're going to lose the game. But possibly a draw would definitely be a good result for every team within the top 6, as they would gain points on both of them. So I'm going to say it'll be a draw. I think Tottenham are going to be able to do enough to score a couple of goals. Harry Kane and Dele Alli have been playing fantastic for them, as well as Christian Eriksen. They're going to be healthy. Chelsea are playing really good right now, flying high. But can they replicate what they've done 13 games in a row now against a tough top opponent? It'll be hard to find out. Some of the other games, as I mentioned, Bournemouth will battle Arsenal tomorrow. Stoke City will host Watford. And Crystal Palace will face Swansea, who, in my eyes, are really just bound and determined to go down. But that is definitely a big matchup. Crystal Palace only 1 point ahead of the bottom 3 right now, since Sunderland did get that draw, although they do have a game in hand. And then Swansea currently last in the Premier League with 12 points. So interesting to see what happens there. And then on Saturday, they will be in the FA Cup, which is the third round of the FA Cup. A few of the notable teams: West Ham will be battling Manchester City. Big game there. Manchester United will be battling Reading. West Brom will face Derby County. On Sunday, we have Tottenham against Aston Villa. Arsenal will play Preston North End on Saturday. Crystal Palace will host Bolton Wanderers. So Chelsea battle Peterborough. So it's still pretty early. A lot of these teams are facing teams from the Championship and below even. So interesting to find out. We'll have to update what happens next week. So we'll switch over. We'll switch gears. Finally, we'll stop talking about the Premier League for once. We will talk about La Liga. La Liga returns on Friday. Espanyol will face Deportivo La Coruña. That is the standalone game on Friday. On Saturday, the league leaders Real Madrid will battle Granada. Atletico Madrid will face off against Eibar. Las Palmas will play Sporting Gijón. Real Sociedad will face Sevilla. Definitely a top matchup. Definitely the matchup of the weekend in my eyes. Sevilla currently in 3rd place. Real Sociedad in 5th place. Top matchup there. On Sunday, Atletico Bilbao will face off against Alaves. Real Betis will battle Leganes. Villarreal will face Barcelona. Another top matchup there. Malaga will play Celta Vigo. And on Monday, we have Osasuna against Valencia, so a week from now. So when you look at the Premier League table, Real Madrid with a 3-point lead right now. They also have a game in hand over Barcelona. Sevilla right on Barcelona's tails with 33 points. Villarreal in 4th with 29 points. So Barcelona 2, Villarreal 4th will be battling off. And then Sevilla 3 against Real Sociedad 5th will be battling off. So interesting there. Couple of really, really good, solid matchups within La Liga. Now we switch over to Serie A. You look at the Serie A games. Couple of games on Saturday and then a big day scheduled for Sunday. So on Saturday, Empoli will face off against Palermo. Napoli will face off against Sampdoria. Interesting to see if Napoli can keep their positive momentum going. Currently riding in 3rd right now, 3 points back from 2nd place Roma. Dries Mertens, since switching over to a striker position, has been fantastic for Napoli. See if he can keep the goal-scoring momentum going, see if he can stay in form. Inter Milan will face off against Udinese. Sassuolo will face off against Torino. Rumors about possibly Joe Hart going back to England, maybe from Torino, where he currently is on loan from Manchester City, back into Liverpool. See if that maybe has an effect on him as he plays on Sunday. Pescara will face off against Fiorentina. Lazio will face off against Crotone. You have Chievo against Atalanta. Genoa will face off against Roma. AC Milan will face Cagliari, and Juventus, the league leaders right now, will face off against Bologna. So if you look at the Serie A table, Juventus with a game in hand do have a 4-point lead as it stands. Definitely looking like they're going to be winning their 6th straight Serie A title. I really don't see any way that any other team, Roma, AC Milan, whatever, do get a chance to top Juventus. I really don't see it. Roma are in second, though, with 38 points. Napoli in third with 35 points. Lazio in fourth with 34 points. And then AC Milan have 33 points, but they do have a game in hand. So they could jump as high as as high as third if they did already play that game. Obviously, it was not their time to play because last week, before the international break, they did have a matchup against Juventus in the Italia Supercoppa, where they did actually beat Juventus, Milan's first trophy since 2011. So those are the matchups this weekend. I'm going to be getting out of here real quick. At halftime, it is Manchester United and West Ham United 0-0. West Ham playing with 10 men since Faguli did get sent off for just a really stupid double-leg tackle against Phil Jones in the first half, in the 15th minute to be exact. So they're playing with 10 men. Manchester United really pushing hard, almost had a goal. West Ham did almost score right before the half, but it was saved by David De Gea. A nice little curler there from Mario Lanzini. So anyways, guys, that's going to take me out for the studio today. I'll be back next Monday talking all things soccer, transfers, as well as top games around the world and everything in between. So thanks for listening, guys. My name is Ben Brown. I hope you had a great New Year, and I will see you next week.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.